We're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to do some work on our miter saw station in the new space, and we need to get our tables, particularly our fence brackets, to 90 degrees. These aluminum brackets are not a dead 90. A little bit of a bummer, especially if I had ordered them new, which I don't, and I didn't in this case because I got everything used. It's kind of my MO. 98% of the tools in my shop are all used. And a lot of them you'll look at and be like, there's no way. Well, I started with something from the 1950s, moved my way up, right? Refurbish them, use them for a while, sell them, upgrade, and keep going. So everything in here except for my planer at this point has been purchased used and or kind of that uptick from used into even more used, but just higher quality as I've gone. So these fences, again, came with this kind of system. I've already started modifying it for the size and scale of our new space, but these are out of 90, like I was saying. So we need to create a shim at the bottom. It's about a 3/32 off. It's noticeable enough to cause issues, especially on things like crown molding. And we definitely don't want to have any issues where we're doing, intricate bevels or joint connections. And, that small amount of that being out of 90 on the fence can absolutely affect the cut at the blade when we're doing bevels and different funky angles. So we're going to rip a bunch of real thin strips. We're going to go down this entire 12-foot length on this side, go down this 5-foot length on this side, get everything remounted, bracketed, and secured. And then at that juncture, we'll be able to line our tables out, get their final positions, build a backer shelf in here, which is going to connect everything to the wall and solidify it, as well have storage space for me to put other tools and equipment. And then all of this is going to be slat wall or pegboard. Haven't decided. I've got both options. Again, all stuff I got used. And we're going to mount a bunch of our hand tools and things like that there. Maybe jigs, that kind of stuff. But going to be quite a process. This is just one station in, I count them all up. I got about 19 stations in this new space. And every station is going to have a modification. So be sure to keep following, because literally the next 2 to 3 months is going to be a non-stop in here, just getting this place fully operational and dialed out. It's temporarily operational enough for me to keep doing the projects, but really to get this thing dialed 2 to 3 months.
Rebuilding these fences to make sure that that aluminum bracket that is not at 90 degrees will leave us with 90 degrees. Going to rip down a bunch of laminated press board. It's basically a high-end melamine that I scored from a cabinet shop. Again, reuse, repurpose. So that was pretty cool to be able to use that. Most of this entire project, from not just the chop saw station to the entire shop itself, is just staggering how much parts and pieces we're reusing from years of collecting, salvaging, and so on. Here I'm just cutting everything down to length and make sure that we get everything nice and dialed in before we attach these. Once they're up against the aluminum fence, we can at least make sure that the fitment is good, and then from there we'll figure out how to fix this. That is what we're off, 3/32.
So that pencil mark indicates the thickest point at which I need for that shim. And you can see that is almost nothing, right? If we transcribe that line right there, that mark right there, that's as thick as we need. So I need 12-foot length and shim that distance and a 5-foot that distance. And then honestly, it can't really come up more than that either. And that thickness is not very much, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Well, less even. That's right about there, 3/8 of an inch. So that's what we got to deal with. We're going to make a shim.
So we're lining up that very thin piece of wood for our shim, and that mark is up against the carbide tip of the saw, making sure that there's just enough room, just about a hair's width of breathing room, that it's not jammed in against the fence.
now that I've got this squared up to the table, meaning the fence, I want to make sure I have the equal distance all the way down, but I don't have a square 12 foot long, right? No one does. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our little combo square here so that it's up against that. Now we've got that in its position. We already did the far end of the unit. Now we're going to go right in the middle. And we're going to make sure that this is the same distance. And you can see that gap right there. Right? See that gap? That means that the fence has got a little bit of a bow in it this direction. So I want to pull it this way and shrink that gap. Now that's easier said than done because this is a big giant piece of aluminum. So I'm going to get a clamp and I'm going to push the clamp from this backside. I can feel the little lip. Flush that out. That'll get rid of this small little gap here. And the clamp's going to be on the front side of that. You will hear this from me over and over and over again. If you ever want to know what to get a woodworker for the holidays or a gift or a birthday or just for the shits and giggles of it, clamps, 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 clamp it, Clancy! Yeah, that's right. Deep throat clamp is absolutely necessary because the height of that aluminum fence. So you can see again, the gap is now diminishing exponentially, right? We're just going to keep tightening it down till that gap is gone. And it looks like I got it. All right. So maybe one little more squeeze. Yeah, that's just the tape. That's the steel rule itself. So that is now gone. Now we can go ahead and fasten this bad boy right in its position and not lose that trueness all the way down the length of this aluminum fence. I've said it once and I'll say it a million times. Reuse, repurpose. This is just a bunch of random screws from over the years, and I am finding a bunch of these guys, which are absolutely perfect for mounting the backer plate from the back side of this fence rail, right? They're the perfect length screw, and they're just going to go right in there, and they've got the flat washer head on them as well, so it'll grip nicely against the aluminum plate. Reuse, repurpose, baby. I needed a couple extra holes in around the seam right here, right? You can see that. So I just bored out, went a little too far on that one, but just boring out the aluminum. Aluminum's nice because you can mill it like lumber. Just using regular old wood bits, right? Got the fat bit and then the smaller for the pilot. But there's holes just there, and I'm gonna kind of stagger them up, down, up, down, up, down, and that way I'll have a nice secure fence. It was quite a bit more of a pain in the ass than I thought it was gonna be, but got all of those bad boys in there. Ended up missing a couple of those nice ones with the nut driver, so I had to go with a fathead Phillips. But they're in. Behold the magic of Squatch. No, not really. My phone was being dumb and it wasn't allowing me to store, and I couldn't take pictures or video, but chop saw station mostly done. We've got a shelf in there now. We got the pegboard up for a bunch of tools. Power's ready to go. Everything has been positioned. All of these stands dialed out. Everything's square and true. We've got flush all the way down the line, through and through. Eventually there's going to be a large dust collection chamber here. However, I am using several different dust collection devices. A lot of them you may not have seen, I don't know, but they're all over the internet. Shop Nation dust collection is this kind of cap here and this little addition to this hose. And then this guy down here is a whole other ball of wax from Inspire Woodworks. And that's really cool because it's a zero clearance. And with that zero clearance, you know, you're minimizing the splinters and all that good stuff. But also it keeps the dust down in there and then gets sucked up through that little tiny hose. But really excited to have at least station one done, or at least mostly done. They're not all going to be done super fast. They're all going to take tweaking. Anybody that's ever had a wood shop knows the tweaking that constantly happens.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about adjustments, not my brain. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, this is another one down. Biting the dust for now.